Hey everyone, Sir Jellybean here, and we're back with another CallToArms Gates of Hell-Ostfront tutorial, and this time we're talking AA guns, and we're going to go through all the AA guns of all factions, so Germany first, then the Russians, then the Finnish. And we'll start straight away, smallest to largest, we'll go through the ranges of the weapon, the inventories, and some of the penetration, some of the stats. So I've got the 2cm gun, and I will admit I have a soft spot for this, because if you've ever watched Saving Private Ryan, this is the gun that ambushes them when they attack the tiger. It comes up and nails them. It's a fantastic little gun. Now it carries 140 AP in the inventory and 140 HE spare. It's obviously got 20 loaded in, 20 round magazine. Now its max range, I believe, is about 150? 150. Now on the stats, it does say that its penetration is 62, but I believe that's with the HE shells loaded in. The armor piercing rounds will be similar to the armor penetration on the Panzer II. Now you won't be hitting much at medium tanks, but you can cripple tanks if you hit the tracks and things. It's not too accurate at that range, but it is quite effective. You can use this for light AT. Now, why I'm mentioning AT is, let's be honest, even though planes are a threat, especially in mods in the vanilla game, your AA will be shooting at ground targets more. So you have to think not only what's good against anti-planes, what's good against armour. Now, this is actually quite good against planes, I think, because it's fast firing, but it's also decent against light vehicles and infantry, but it will go through ammo quite quick, so I'd suggest an ammo box. But it's quite cheap. It's not much point-wise and command point-wise, and the only disadvantage, this one doesn't have the shield on. But yeah, I do like the 2cm. It's got kind of a special place in my list. I do enjoy them. Now, the 2cm Flak 38 is basically the exact same as the 2cm, but with a shield. And it's even got the same loadout, same magazine size. So that is just the upgraded variant. I don't think it looks as cool personally, but that will keep your infantry alive a bit more, so that's smart. Then we'll move over to the 3.7cm. It's the same gun that's on the Ostwind. Obviously, the 2cm, 4 of them on the Wirbelwind. So this thing has a max range, I believe it's similar, or is it a bit more? Should be about 160 here. Now it is 3.7cm, and it has a 12 round magazine, and it carries 138 armor piercing spare and 150 HE, so more HE. If you load the armor piercing in, this thing is not half bad. See, it can blow tracks off if you hit right. It's quite fast firing, not as fast as the 2cm. But it will take down planes, and it will shred infantry and light vehicles and maybe mediums from the side. I'm quite a big fan of the 3.7cm, and it's probably the best all-round pack gun for anti-air and anti-ground. And it's quite cheap, that's why I do like it. And it's not too big either, as you see. The German ones start to get very chunky. You can quite well hide that, but it's a good little vehicle. I should say AA gun, and yeah, I think it's just as good as the 2cm. An improvement on the model, and it has a good magazine size, so definitely a good one to bring in the force. 5cm. Now this is, in my opinion, the weirdest one, because if you go to the 5cm, you might as well just go upgrade to the 88, because even though it has, it's a 5cm gun, it's got some power, load some armor piercing in. Its range is 100 and just shy. It's 180 the range. Carries 20 armor piercing and 100 high explosives, but it does have a 5 round magazine, which is good. But to be fair, if you want rapid fire, you go for the 3.7 on the 2cm. And if you want armor piercing, anti-tank, you go for the 88. So in my opinion, it's the worst AA choice on the German side, but it's quite a cool looking gun. It carries a fair amount of ammunition. I guess if you want a rapid fire, high explosive 5cm gun, let's say infantry are pushing from the flank on the hills, you could just go bang. But it's not that accurate range. But it's not a bad choice, but it's my least favourite on the Germans. Then we've got the Flak 88-18, which, I didn't go through the armor piercing, sorry, I apologise. The armor piercing on all of these is considered 62mm, but that's with a high X loaded. It doesn't tell you the armor piercing, but I imagine the armor piercing would be similar to a 5cm gun, but not as strong, because it's probably not as high velocity. It might be though, but I wouldn't rely on these for anti-tank, like light armor, BT7s, light stuff like that. Don't try and take T-34s down with them. Crippling the tracks is very effective. You should be able to, if you get any rounds to hit the tracks, but at range it's not that accurate. Now we'll go for the range on that again. Let's just check. It is, yeah, it's 160. So the 88, we'll start with the range. It's 210 the range, so it's very powerful. The penetration for the 88 is 126mm, then 121, then 116, and 109, going down in the ranges. The ranges start at 10 meters, then I believe it's 50, 100, 150. The thing is powerful. It's got 19 armor piercing rounds, 5 armor piercing composite rigid, and 20 high explosive. These are amazing anti-tank. Not so, they're quite good anti-air, but remember, they got to move it in position. It only has one shot, and if the AI misses, the plane will probably escape. But the armor-piercing capability is just immense. Very powerful, very long range. And the way to use these, if you get a field engineer and you dig the tank ditch, like the tank, where you can put this inside, and it will hide it up to about here. So basically, you've only got about half of it exposed, and the gun shield will protect the infantry quite well. So if you're willing to dig these in, these things are amazing. And then we also have the Flak 8836, which has the exact same range, I believe. Yep, and its penetration is higher. It brings to the table 153 mils pen, then 146, then 139, then 128. But its ammunition loadout, it gets composite rigid, heat, high explosive anti-tank, high explosives, and armor piercing. You get 15 armor piercing, 20 high explosive, 5 APCR, 5 heat, and this thing is even more powerful. As you can see, kaboom. That is my favourite one for anti-tank, but if we're going to, for the German side, personally, I go for the 2 or 3 centimetre for actual anti-air, but you also might as well bring a whirlwind for quadruple 22 centimetres. And if you want anti-tank, obviously bring the Flak 18 or Flak 36, but dig them in, because if you do leave them out, they're still effective, but it is a big target, and those high X will clip the shield, and they can do quite a lot of damage. So that's the Germans done. We'll get on to the Ruskies. Now, I've included the Quad Maxim and the 50 cal Dushka because they're classed as AA weapons, and I do think they're more AA weapons than they are anti-infantry. So there isn't the armor piercing, but I think the Maxim has armor piercing of 6. Now, its range isn't that far. I believe it's about, 120? Yeah. But there is one good thing about this. It carries a lot of ammunition. 1,000 rounds loaded in. It can absolutely spray. It won't be killing much armor, but that thing is amazing at anti-infantry. And obviously anti-air, it can do quite a lot of damage. I think planes aren't that heavily armoured. So it's definitely good for that. And it doesn't have the longest reload time for 4 guns. It's pretty decent. Carries a 1,000 round spare, so you will get through ammo quite quick if you start shredding like I did. It's not a bad little buy, actually. Quite like that. Then we've got the Dushka, the 50 cal. This has a range of 140. Now this thing carries 750 round spare. The magazine is 50. This thing's actually quite powerful. Hasn't got the best aiming on it, but it will kill light vehicles. I think it has armor piercing of up to 8mm, but it's pretty good, pretty accurate. And it will. I've had quite a few bombers shot down by these, so they're pretty decent and they're quite cheap. The only disadvantage is the high profile of both of them. Quite easy to get sniped, but if you are willing to put them behind a wall, you can easily take advantage. Let me just demonstrate, or shift him. So right there, you put him behind a wall, and he's already got a bit of cover, but he can shoot over it quite effectively. So that he can take advantage of cover a bit better with these weapons. And next we've got the 25mm, which is also, I think, it's a really good Russian anti-air. Now it says the penetration 63 mils. I think that's loaded with the HE or the AP. I can't really tell because it's not that accurate. But this thing has a 7-round magazine. It carries 140 HE and 140 AP spare. The ranges for it are, I think it's 150. Yeah. And the thing is actually it's not bad. It's got decent magazine, quite quick reload time. It's pretty good AA, and I've actually had quite a few tanks crippled by them. The good thing about it is quite low. Like say, it's similar to this 3.7. It's quite low and it has that nice gun shield, so I do really like that for Russian anti-air, and it's cheap. So, in my opinion, that's the best for actual anti-air on the Russian side. And I like the gun shield. It does protect the men very well. You see, that's a very well built gun shield. So the Russians made a really good one with that. Then we've got the 37mm. This one has a range of 160, just shy yet. It carries 150 AP spare and 150 HE spare. The magazine's 10, so a better magazine. And it's pretty good, actually. The fire rate's quite a good staggered fire rate. These things are actually pretty good at blowing tracks off. They're actually really good at blowing tracks off. I'm going to try and nail this Stug side, see if you can see it. Now, it is bounced a bit, but if it was a bit closer, it'd probably do some more damage or be a bit more accurate. But these things, when firing, I think we nailed the track there. We knocked out some of the skirts, if you can see there. It did start pinging on it, but they're quite good at taking tracks out of things. Now, they're also pretty good against air units, but I'd personally prefer the 25mm. Don't know why, I just think it's a bit better. It's obviously a bit cheaper, but they also don't get a gun shield, which is a big problem, because if you watch the Conquest Enhanced series, regular with things like Tigers or Panzers, you just start spraying machine gun and you'll easily clip off the top guy, then the other guy moves into his position, so you can decrew them quite easily with machine guns. So not having the gun shield there really does makes it a pain for things. Now it does mean it's slightly harder to hit with high explosive, but if you aim at the ground, you're going to blow it up. So yeah, I think the lack of gun shield kind of lets it down big time. And then we've got the 85mm, which is a big lad. That has a range of about 200, I think, yeah. It carries 19 armor piercing, 5 armor piercing high explosive blast cap, and 20 high explosives. This thing is powerful, as you can see against the Stug. We'll pump around in. Oh, if it hits. Now, they are a bit more expensive, obviously. It's basically similar to the German 88, but it lacks the gun shield. But as you can see, that just penned. These things are deadly. I've had them take Tigers out. Oh, I forgot the penetration to some of these. My apologies again, getting carried away. The 37mm also classed as 62mm penetration, whereas the 85 is 147 mils penetration and 137, and 125 and 109. So it means it has better penetration than the Flak 18, but not as good as a bit less than the Flak 36. So basically, it's similar to the German one, but the only disadvantage, not now having gun shield. And even though, because it's a big target anyway, it means the infantry aren't as protected. But it's another one, if you dig it in, they're very deadly, especially if you dig them in a tree line. Oh, Conquest Enhanced these things are the bane of my life. But it is a very good Russian weapon. Now, it can do air, obviously, but it's more, I'd say, focus it more on anti-tank. That's what it does best at. And now we have the Finnish AT. Now, we'll start off with 2 centimeters, similar to the German one. And its armor piercing is 62, it claims. It has a range of 150. Now, this thing does have a 12-round magazine. It comes with 144 high explosives and 132 armor piercing spare. It's got a good fire rate. 12-round magazine is not bad. It's not as good as the German 2 centimeter, and it has no gun shield, but it does look pretty cool. It will do quite well against the air. It's pretty accurate. More close-up, obviously, but it can do some light AT as well. It'll deal with BT7s, it'll deal with stuff like that quite effectively, and it'll shred infantry. Ammo crate advised. But the real thing I like is the 20 ITK, which is basically a dual one. And it's the same stats as the other one, but it's got the exact same range. Oh, sorry. It's got the exact same range as well, I believe. Yep. 150, but it's the fire rate. You've got 40 rounds loaded in. Look at that. Thing just absolutely shreds. So you load armor piercing into that, and something like a BT7 comes over the lip, or even aircraft. So let's say a plane's coming, and you'll just demolish. It's glorious. And it also carries 140 rounds spare of each, but that's not that much for this, so it definitely needs an ammo crate. And the armor penetration for it is 62 as well, it says. But it can deal with light vehicles. And if you get the side armor, like the tracks and things, the sheer weight of fire can make a mess of things. So if you let's see if we can see the tracks on these tanks over here, say the side of the Stug, and just the sheer weight of rounds. It can be good sometimes if you've got something a bit closer, you just start shredding the crap out of it. But they do need to be a little bit closer to be effective. And then we've got the 40 ITK, which is a bit of a bigger lad. It's got 62 armor penetration. Its range, I believe, is 160, is it? Or is it a bit further? Oh, it's 170. So, yep. It has a magazine of 4, which is a bit weird. It fires fairly slow, but the magazine reload is very quick. But it is fairly powerful, as you can see. It can nail things, and you see it's blowing bits off the tanks. And if you get the side armor, you can actually nail the tracks fairly well, as you can see there. It starts shredding in. I'm just trying to blow his tracks off just to demonstrate. Did we get his track? There, I think we got his track there. So as you can see, quite good at immobilising tanks, and fairly effective against the air. It brings 152 ammo spare of each, which is pretty good. When they bring a little bit more, might have shot some. Yeah, so it's a very good anti-air, and it's decent at anti-tank. I quite like this gun, but I do prefer the dual 2 centimeter for anti-air capabilities. And then finally we have the 75 ITK, which has a range, I think it's 200? 200? Yep, 200 range. And this thing is very powerful. Now it comes with the range, it comes with penetration of 151mm, then 144, then 136, then 125, so it's just under the Pak 36, so it makes it the second most powerful AT gun out of all the factions. Now you'll notice you can also get a static one of these that you build for anti-tank. Now it comes with 24 armor piercing, obviously one load in, 20 high explosive, and as you can see, thing can blast through quite a lot. The high explosive is powerful. And the disadvantage again, no gun shield. That is a bit lower than some of the bigger ones. Probably slightly lower than Russian, obviously lower than German, but no gun shields. It hurts all the Finns as well. And this one is quite a good vehicle, but yeah, the lack of gun shield definitely hurts it. Now the high explosive you see there just crippled that tank. So it's very powerful, and it's definitely more, I'd say it's better at anti-tank than it is anti-air, but you can obviously do it for anti-air. It does go a bit weird when you kind of bring it up, but anti-air can be done. For some reason it's been a bit of a spid, but having fun, wind and handle. But I do like this one as well. If you need some heavy AT, I believe it's the heavy engineers on the Finns who can construct a static one of these, and they construct it in like a bunker. So it is pretty good, that. So definitely think about that if you need some heavy anti-tank for like T-34s, like even the high explosives do quite a lot of damage. So anyway, that's just the roundup of the AA guns. I hope you found it useful. Please tell me your opinions on them as well. If you obviously enjoyed the video, like, subscribe and comment. And we will be doing all the kind of mobile anti-air and all the support vehicles in another video, because obviously I know people like, I love the Whirlwinds, for instance, but these were just the base kind of models and the ones that are towed and have to be set up. Anyway, thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you have a great day.